Ever get a feeling of impending doom? The 5 lousiest amateur builders in the entire country have each designed an eco-shed. We gave them a maximum height, but 4 of them insisted on going taller than we asked.
I had a limit, and I knew it. I went over my limit.
Every single day, they stride through those doors without realizing their sheds will never make it out.
And stop, stop, stop!
On this episode, they'll seal their walls and their fates. This is Canada's worst handyman. Here at our rehabilitation center in Toronto, the nation's 5 most inept amateur builders, as nominated by you, are each constructing a complete eco-shed in just 2 weeks. Then, someone will be nailed with the humiliating title, Canada's Worst Handyman. Ruth was nominated for the non-award by her daughter, Michelle. At home in Capel, Saskatchewan,
this is the deck that Ruth built.
Ruth is famous for her lopsided deck, but don't take my word for it.
Look at the thing there, the darn thing is slanted. She's not very good at measuring.
I think there's something wrong with my tape measure.
She's also not very good at cutting.
What are you doing?
Or screwing.
I don't think you can hammer in a screw.
The next candidate is Terry. He was nominated by his buddy Harv.
He just kind of rushes ahead and does things his way, and there's usually disaster that results.
In Sault Ste. Marie, Terry's not-to-code man shed has cracks everywhere, the floor's not level, and the door doesn't latch. But the surveillance system is working.
I can look in the mirror and see my wife coming down the sidewalk. She asked me, "Hon, what are you doing?" "Oh, nothing."
Jeff from Mississauga is searching for his inner handyman. His pal Fred worries it may no longer exist.
I have never seen anybody avoid working with tools as much as Jeff has.
This is the hole in the wall that I fixed by using masking tape and an old CD.
What I have on the other candidates is my ability to learn. I'm smarter than them. I will be able to become a far better handy person than them.
Candace from Calgary was nominated by her construction-working husband, Justin.
I like watching Homes on Homes, Trading Spaces, Ty Pennington on Extreme Makeover, Designer Guys.
Candace can't plan.
I think I did pretty good for my first time.
Or build.
Sometimes if you do it like at a different angle, just go in.
Candace thinks TV has taught her a lot. In your head, you're an expert, aren't you?
I am.
It really kills me to have Candace watch a television show and decide that she's as good or better than anybody on it.
And the last nominee for Canada's Worst Handyman is Jaime. Jaime was brought forward by Sheila, his disgruntled mother-in-law.
He's got 2 sons. They're going to grow up and be lazy like him, not know nothing.
We've had this house for a little over 3 years, and I've done nothing but handiwork.
Fix these stairs.
Before coming to rehab, Sheila laid down the law.
I said, we're not going to fight Jaime as long as you listen to me. If you don't listen to me, all war is going to break out. I tell ya, you better listen. You don't listen.
Listening and watching from deep within the rehab center's control room are our 2 optimistic experts.
I don't have a whole lot of hope for this project.
Greg House has been a general contractor for nearly a quarter century.
Hello.
And Jill Rydell has spent 14 years teaching carpentry.
Taking instruction and taking responsibility. Not happening.
In the end, Greg, Jill, and I will join forces to decide who is Canada's worst handyman.
Candace at the bottom, Terry at the top, the rest in between.
Before these sheds get covered with plywood, they need window frames. So, the classroom gets filled with bad handymen and Jill.
Welcome to Renovations 101. This is the exact window that you're going to be installing.
Surprisingly, an energy-efficient window shouldn't fit tightly in its frame.
This is important. Add half-inch clearance all the way around the window.
That clearance is to allow for insulation and for the frame to settle over time. Like all carpentry, framing a window depends on accurate measurements.
How many studs do you think this window's going to cover? I guess I could figure that out, hey?
Terry doesn't like measuring tapes.
I measured the walls for the shed using a piece of string. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here.
Terry shouldn't feel bad. Ruth's been using a tape measure for 40 years, and she doesn't know what she's doing either.
Okay, 65 inches. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tenths. That's a half, but it's not.
Okay, you mentioned to me before you don't know how to read a tape.
If there's 10 tens and that's a 5 tens, that's a half, so it's not. So they can't be tenths.
Let's have a look.
They can't be ten.
Watch.
We're building an imperial measurement, so it's important to understand that inches are never cut in tenths. They're cut in halves, then quarters, then eighths. The tape measure is your best friend on the job site, so don't be afraid of it.
So there's 37.
No, it isn't.
Jaime thinks he's being clever by marking his new stud with one he previously cut.
I don't know if I'd do what you just did.
Why?
Because that board was moving. Why don't you use the tape measure and make sure it's the same measurements? Because then you move your hands and whatever.
40.
Okay.
All of the lumber we're using in this show is eco-friendly in some way. Like, these upright studs are called finger join boards because they've got these joints. See that?
Finger join boards are made by gluing together the scrap pieces that are left over from milling grade A 2x4s.
That means that they can take compression downwards, but don't ever lay one of these boards horizontal on the job because, well, they're just not very sound.
Terry is sinking to new lows.
Is one higher than the other?
Yeah, they're both higher than the other.
He's using a finger join board as his windowsill. And it's way too wide.
I can't hear you.
These are the original house studs. We don't want the window to attach to them. So
you have to build this narrow frame and header inside the studs. Terry's frame bridges between studs.
There's a big space now.
big space.
Big space.
Ruth's daughter wants her to straighten up.
Don't you need a straight line across here so you can have a guide to where you're cutting? Right?
I don't know.
Ruth is comfortable working without a pencil.
Oh, great.
But Jaime wishes he could find his.
Isn't this a discussion we have at home most of the time, how you lose things?
You know what? I'm gonna kick you out. Because, no, yes, I can. Because if you're gonna be here criticizing me while I'm trying to do this, while you leave in a post like a city worker, then you can just leave.
Instead of leaving, Sheila searches for things to complain about.
He made these holes for a reason, but he doesn't know how to use them.
Sheila, you can't complain anymore, okay?
I'm just telling the
No,
truth here right now.
if you complain anymore, you can just leave.
This kind of help will make Jaime lose it.
Well, if you put it there, you won't lose it.
After the break, tension leads to violence.
I will tell you to off.
There's something to be said for hiring professional help,
doing it yourself can lead to all sorts of difficulties.
You're just a faster screwer.
With our help, though, Canada's worst handymen are learning to overcome their inadequacies. Today, they're struggling to put windows in their eco-sheds.
Do you want help?
No.
I'm supposed to be here to help you.
Ruth is building a frame between studs, hoping her window will fit.
Do you think you made the hole too big?
How could I not?
So the window fits right in here?
Yeah, I've got to shim it, and then it'll need support down here.
Jaime's got a new plan. Instead of building his frame between studs,
I'm taking it down and I'm putting the frame up.
He's removing his studs and using them for the window frame.
I don't know. I haven't done a lot of installing windows, but I never framed a window before.
But Sheila tells Jaime to follow her orders.
That's how I would do it. I don't know what you're doing.
Now, if you're gonna shut up, you can stay there.
I will leave, and I'll leave. Good. And you won't be here all by yourself. You're not gonna rip the whole wall down.
Okay. I know what I'm doing here.
Okay.
If you're not gonna support this, then
Do
leave.
it.
I'm arguing here instead of doing it. Just leave.
Do it.
If you stay here, you can't say anything else.
Okay, I'll sit down here. Should have brought a book with me.
Perhaps Dante's Inferno is available. Jaime's frame looks perfect, but
Holy I don't know if
it comes up short.
That's what happened at home. Your measurements are wrong. Oh, lordy, lordy.
When Sheila's done consoling her son-in-law, Jaime lays down the gauntlet.
I don't want to air my dirty laundry in front of everybody, okay? So, I mean, because I will tell you to off.
Pardon me?
Meanwhile, Candace needs to put more thought into this.
I just put my whole body into it.
making a header that's flat like this is too flimsy to protect the window.
It's in there.
Wasn't one of the things you went over in class the importance of how strong the header is? And to make it strong, you marry two 2x4s together on their edge?
Terry wants to make an asymmetrical frame.
You have to have the support underneath the header.
On one side only if there's a stud there.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's why we didn't need this one.
Well, what the heck's going to hold the header up? If these aren't here, it's going to push down and bust your window.
Ever since we met Terry,
Okay. How do you do 3D?
we've seen him completely rely on common sense.
What's that thing called, Harvey?
Supplied by Harvey.
Something like that?
Well, you got this hooked up, bro. We'll just put a squiggly mark through that.
Today, explaining the header is no different.
You have to have this to support your header. You have to.
Now I realize.
Terry, a lot of times, I have to help him breathe by just pushing on his chest.
Is it just me or are those dramatically different lengths?
It's just you.
So that's not a drunk an H, that's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But it doesn't progress enough.
That is so close to being acceptable. But that's unacceptable. Jeff, buddy, you got issues, man.
Yeah.
You've made the opening as wide as the entire outside of the window.
Can we get another 2x4?
Jeff's not the only one wasting lumber.
She needs another piece of wood. We need another 2x4.
I'm out of wood.
We are going to need a 2x4, though.
She needs another piece of wood.
Can I get a couple more 2x4s?
Two 2x4s.
Yeah.
Coming up. Come. All these people are going to just milk our wood budget dry.
I wonder if I can get more wood.
When Justin yanks the board she's holding, Candace gets a sliver more.
You just got a sliver.
Why would you just do that?
At Jaime's, the inferno boils over.
You know, it's just
Okay,
disrespectful.
Forget it. I don't need to hear no more from you.
Well, I don't need to hear from you.
And with that, Sheila finally leaves.
I was getting really pissed off at him. just totally pissed off.
And with that, Sheila comes back.
If you're done,
You know, if you just be quiet.
Ruth still has a huge hole.
I could still put a window in, but that's not the way they're going to like it.
In Candace's room, Justin's getting wound up.
I don't want you to fail this because of me.
Better to fail than lose a tooth.
So you're going so fast, not quite.
When Justin stops laughing...
Oh my God, that is not how we do it. It's not how we do it, Justin.
He checks the window's fit by wedging it temporarily in place.
Would you like another bite?
Framing took Justin, 91 minutes. Screwing the window permanently in will happen later. Jaime and Terry are also
Done?
They don't know it yet, but one of them has an oversized hole.
I split the wood.
Yeah, that figures.
Jeff also has an enlarged opening. To shrink it, he inserts a 2x4.
There, okay.
Well done.
Yeah.
That extra 2x4 is going to irritate Jeff. Ruth is in trouble, and her daughter's in denial.
This is a success. I think you're good.
This is a success? We're done?
Instead of a half-inch gap, Ruth has an opening big enough for another window.
Right.
Yeah.
Her remedy?
I think I'll do a 2x4 down here and then shim it if possible.
That's a lot of shimming.
Shimming in foam is not possible. After the break,
Can I let go?
Jeff gets on his high horse.
Can I let go?
You should build an ecologically friendly shed. If the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman can each construct one in just 2 weeks, surely you could get one made in your spare time.
In our first 2 shows, 2 women were named the worst handyman. There's something kind of creepy about that. At the end of tonight's show, a 3rd head will be hung in shame. Let's hope one of the women doesn't make a repeat.
Girl power!
So far, the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman have been working alongside the people who nominated them.
So you said 14 and what?
2 notches.
2 small notches or 2 big notches?
Oh.
For some, that's a big advantage.
Terry relies on me so much. It seems like he can't do a thing without me.
For others,
No, hey, move. It's me. No, stop it. I'm doing it.
their partner is like a splinter under the thumbnail.
I'm not telling you no more now. I'm not helping you.
I want a new partner.
Good idea. For the next challenge, we're mixing up the partnerships.
Michelle, you're going to be with Jeff?
There's a history here. Last episode, Jeff butted heads with Michelle's mother.
You gotta leave a space.
No, I don't think there's a space. No, there's no space. There are no issues between me and any other cast member. Except maybe Ruth.
So, Jeff challenged the grandmother to a nail-off.
1 nail. Least amount of strokes wins, loser goes home.
Clearly, the loser was Jeff.
Bye-bye.
But he didn't go home. The next challenge is to cover the sheds with plywood. 1 sheet of this eco plywood comes from 1 tree that was hand-planted to become plywood.
I just hope it didn't die in vain, because this sheet's being given to Canada's Worst Handyman.
Jeff, have you ever done this before?
Of course not.
Jeff has no construction experience, so
I probably know more than you do.
there's not a lot to know. To cover a structure in plywood, all you really have to do is submit to the higher power of common sense.
Get down on your knees and say your prayers.
To safely handle the plywood, work from the bottom up.
Keep going in. Yeah, just like that.
The higher sheets can then be laid on top of the lower ones. Michelle explains the benefit of starting low.
It'll be easier to work. Did you hear me? Yeah?
Jeff ignores Michelle and gravity. He wants to start at the top, and he wants Michelle to know that she's the reason he can't.
You can't hold it up. There's something that you could rest it on.
I can hold it up. If you lift it, I'll get underneath it and I'll hold it up.
Jeff doesn't believe all women should be beneath him, just Michelle.
Okay.
You got it? Okay, can you lift it up?
Yeah.
A little bit more.
Make sure it's even on the side.
Safety. They are not thinking this through whatsoever. That is so unsafe.
Up a little bit. Little bit more.
Every year, over 2,000 Canadians spend a night in a hospital because of injuries that occurred during home handiwork.
Okay, let it go. Let go.
Okay.
Let go.
Okay.
This is wrong on a lot of levels.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get underneath again.
And Jeff knows it.
You've got a woman on her knees picking up plywood while literally underneath the ladder.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I understand. Excellent.
All right, Ruth.
Ruth also has her new partner on his knees.
Get one in the other. Oh, did I miss?
See?
I missed.
Terry has a huge advantage in this project. He designed his shed the way professionals do, with the centers of his studs 16 inches apart, or as the pros say, on center. That means each full piece of plywood ends perfectly on a stud.
You see, this is where we have the problem.
Candace has her studs various distances apart.
Is that a no-no?
So,
I can get the other side.
she has to cut strips off her plywood, wasting time and money.
It's 40 to here.
Jaime doesn't have properly placed studs either.
From here on is 16-inch centers. From here, it's 15.5.
In the last challenge, Jaime framed his window by rearranging his studs. Now to install his plywood.
Or even maybe just pop it out this side and we can just bang it out.
Jaime's moving more studs.
Just want to screw her back in. Okay.
Jaime uses 2 full sheets of plywood, but he ends up bare on both corners.
It worked out better for laying out our whole pieces.
Because of your wacky stud placement.
Ruth's plywood doesn't reach the top or bottom. And no one's plywood is screwed on securely.
You missed there, didn't you?
Oh, I'm in reverse. Oops.
Ontario Building Code says plywood sheets need a screw in every stud every 12 inches. Candace is painfully short.
Oh, I almost got you.
Sheila complains that Jaime won't listen to her.
Looks like we measured wrong.
With Terry, she just complains.
I don't like this high shed you built. Ah, you made double lines there now. Jeez, what kind of a carpenter are you? Don't rub it with your hands. Draw a line. You were supposed to tell me you were starting. Well, just do it here. What the hell?
Sheila is all bark and no measuring ability.
Oh, that's a problem. What the heck happened there to my measurements? Can you get these out? Okay, now let's chunk it in there.
To chunk it in, Terry slices chunks off. Then he saws chunks off.
And it's still not gonna fit.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Stop, you're laughing. With Terry, well, I had such a good time. Like, I never laughed so much.
Oh. What did we do here? Hey?
That's because you used the jigsaw.
Now Terry wants to use
duct tape. No duct tape.
Over at Jeff's shed.
Okay, can you lift it up a little bit more?
Okay. Sure.
He's still putting himself on a pedestal.
Okay, down a smidge.
With Michelle beneath him.
Don't forget to leave a gap so we can adjust it.
This is doubly dangerous, considering what a klutz Jeff can be.
Oh!
I forbid Michelle from spending any more time underneath Jeff's ladder.
You think it's dangerous?
Absolutely, I think it's dangerous to be. I think it's dangerous to be underneath a really qualified handyman. If that guy drops a drill, or heaven forbid, if that ladder should fail.
Okay.
Since being paired with Jeff, Michelle hasn't complained once.
I'm here to assist.
She's working hard.
I got it. I got it.
And she's been nothing but encouraging.
Come on, Jeff. We can do it. Good job. Good job. Nice one.
Instead of thanking Michelle, Jeff blocks her out. This statement of disrespect is made all the louder by the fact that Jeff doesn't even put the earplugs in right.
You're supposed to squish them and then put them in your ears, and they expand. Do you want the hammer?
Jeff, I know you can hear me because you've got your earplugs in wrong, so I know you can hear me. What's going on?
I don't know. He's not talking.
This is undignified.
What's going on there?
What?
I know that you know the question I'm asking. Now answer the question I'm asking.
I wasn't able to concentrate, so I wasn't able to think properly.
And it'd be easier for you if she's just literally not involved.
It's probably going to take me twice as long.
I don't want you to take longer. I want you to get this done.
He's really arrogant.
It's going to be a little harder.
He certainly doesn't want a woman to help him.
Would it not be better if she did just exactly what you told her?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I'm sure this is a spiteful waste of time and talent.
You've got a body sitting here. To me, it's nuts.
All right.
Jeff, what can I do to help you? I feel useless standing here.
Michelle is refusing to be snubbed.
Yeah, let me get out of the way. Because I can get you screws, or I can get you stuff.
I know.
Do you want your pencil sharpened?
Eventually,
Go. Go, 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 go.
Jeff allows Michelle to help with some more heavy lifting.
Go. Go, 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 go.
And people say chivalry is dead.
I don't think he likes women. In his views, he needed a man.
After 2 hours, Jeff needs some time alone.
It's all about him. He does like to be the center of the universe.
There was somewhat tension.
When Jeff gets back to work, Justin is making sure that Ruth is the first person to finish.
Last piece.
It's the first job Ruth's completed first. Even if it did take twice as long as it should have.
Made a boo-boo.
Harry should be finished, but he hasn't been making straight cuts, and now he's left with a patchwork of holes to fill.
Look at puzzle. Puzzle. Over there in the corner is a puzzle. Puzzles everywhere.
Jaime finishes his puzzle.
Done.
And in Spanish?
Se acabó.
Jaime's happy, but his rearranged studs will come back to haunt him. Michelle is still trying to help Jeff.
All of a sudden, you'll just go. He's driving me up the wall.
When Michelle returns from the washroom, she discovers that Fred is now helping Jeff ignore her.
You guys need me?
Let's go 78.
Jeff, do you need me?
Mine, for some reason, had a bit more to do, and so Fred came over to help me complete it.
After the break, Terry's window doesn't fit.
May as well have a sheet of plastic up there.
That'll work.
Canada's worst handymen spent last night finishing the plywood on their eco sheds. The next challenge for Canada's worst handymen
is more of an evaluation, really. Did they make their window frames the right size? Too big, the windows won't fit. Too small, the windows won't fit. If there's one thing we have a lot of here at the rehab center, it's misfits.
In framing class, the bad handymen learned to make a loose fit.
This is important. Add half-inch clearance all the way around the window.
This skirt around the window is wider than a half-inch, so in the end there will be no gap on the exterior. Inside, the window rests on shims.
You're gonna have to tap it in with a hammer.
Then gets screwed in place. Later, the gap will be filled with expanding foam. Candace gets her window shimmed correctly in just 2 minutes.
Are you gonna bite these ones off too?
If she sinks 4 screws into the pre-drilled window holes,
try to get it as straight as possible.
She'll be done.
Uh-oh.
The first one goes in correctly, but the unfamiliar sight of a screw passing through space
It's not in all the way?
has Candace confused.
It's not too far into there. I just hope that's enough to hold the window in place.
Your screws are going in.
Ouch.
Why isn't that cut flush?
For Jaime, this challenge is a dress rehearsal.
I have nothing to do with it.
In Regina, Jaime has a house full of windows that need replacing sooner rather than later.
He needs windows at home.
Will you replace your own windows after this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, Tasha, come over.
Ruth's window frame has 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of lumber on every side, and still
I could put 2 fingers in here.
she needs more lumber.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Terry's saying he's done.
She's in.
What's the gap here? Promise me you'll be gap-free.
I'm not going to promise you anything.
Energy-efficient window, inefficient installation. Means you may as well have a sheet of plastic up there.
That'll work. On this side, no gap. On that side, a gap.
Right here?
Yeah.
Well, there's no fixing that there.
To allow room for the expanding foam, the wedges should go in like this, perpendicular to the window.
Oh.
If you put your screws right into your shims,
Yep.
they're nice and solid.
Nice and solid.
That's wrong. Screwing through these shims usually splits them. For full support, you should screw directly under the shims. Jaime screws his down parallel. When the window sits on these, Jaime won't be able to get the nozzle for the foam installation where it needs to go.
I like it.
To anchor the window cleanly, the screw heads must pass through the pre-drilled holes. Fred thinks the screw heads should catch on the vinyl face covering, so he removes Jeff's screws.
Can't go through the holes.
Well, these are the screws that came with it.
Yeah, I know, but
But if he doesn't go through the holes, where will Fred screw in the window?
good question. What I think we can do is get a drill bit. We'll pre-drill a hole here, and then we'll put the screw in there.
So, Fred pre-drills holes
Pre-drill a couple of holes.
right next to the pre-drilled holes.
On the bottom. Well, the openings here are definitely not the openings for the screw unless they gave us the wrong screws.
You don't want to see this head. You want to get rid of this. It should go right through the frame because this is not the outside edge of your frame.
Wasn't it?
No, there's another edge, right?
Jeff does finish, but by damaging the face of his window, he's nullified the warranty. After 2 minutes, Candace needed 4 screws. After 16 minutes, she's finally got them in.
You get all your little tabs in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I think you're done.
Candace has an airtight window. Terry doesn't.
Hey, are you pushing tight?
Yeah, it's tight, Art.
It's not tight.
Jaime's job is almost right, but his perpendicular wedges will cause a draft.
Gee, Michelle.
Ruth didn't have a plan when she began framing her window.
Don't have it slanted.
Now she has one, but it doesn't involve common sense.
You've got the wrong bit. You got the wrong end for the screw.
Ruth doesn't know her window from a hole in the wall.
Ruth has no window in, and she's doing better than you guys.
Come on.
You can see clear right through here, Terry.
Terry has a breezy demeanor and a breezier window.
Denim. It's excellent insulation, but sadly, when most people's old jeans get like this, they throw them out. That is crazy. Even tattered cotton still has excellent heat-retaining power.
The next challenge for Canada's worst handyman is to
this. Housing insulation made from recycled old blue jeans. Put it in between the studs, and you're done. Get to it.
Are they 16-inch?
They're 16-inch.
Actually, this bag has pieces 24 inches wide. This one is 16 inches.
Fortunately, I've got 16-inch studs.
Aha, you don't have 16-inch there.
This is the that pisses me off. Ha ha, you don't have 16 inches there. Who cares?
Does the wiring go underneath or behind?
I'd say in front.
Under the wire or over the wire?
Over. No. You want the wire to remain visible, so it will stay warmer and be easier to get at in case of a problem.
Justin, if it's a little bit, can I just squish it in?
You can squish into blue jeans, but you can't squish blue jean insulation.
It's really not going to stick, Justin. I'm telling you. Look at it. Can you staple it in?
Nope. That's going to be a nightmare. How are you going to fill that?
Oh, we're just gonna staple it.
You're going to staple it.
When he realizes stapling won't work, Jaime begins hand-tailoring every piece.
Just don't cut too well.
To cut this dense tangle of fibers,
Watch your fingers.
you need a long, razor-sharp knife.
Try to get as much blade on it as possible.
Okay.
So the more blade you get on it, the faster it cuts through. Push hard.
Candace has success with the long blade. Harvey doesn't.
Ouch. I just had a little nick, that's all.
Okay.
Unlike fiberglass insulation, this biodegradable cotton can be handled without gloves. However, it is dusty,
What's all this dust coming out?
It's just dust.
so masks are recommended. Jeff describes himself as a perfectionist.
I bet you're perfect at work, aren't you?
Yeah. But here at the rehab center, he consistently jumps into unfamiliar jobs without reading instructions.
So you read the directions and everything?
Nope.
Nope. You're cutting it with the proper tool?
No.
Cut that stuff so you get nice, even lines.
While Jeff catches up on the instructions, Terry gets the warm feeling of a job well done.
16-inch centers. What a friend of the carpenter, hey?
Yes, sir.
Everybody else is wilting and falling down these flaccid old limp things.
The drooping insulation
I'm trying to make it pretty.
is getting erected with extra bits, and it's getting stuffed at the seams.
Did you want the corners done too?
No, we thought we'd let all of the heat rush out through there.
Okay, you gotta go.
Yeah.
The insulation is working.
Ooh.
Under our lights, the heat in Ruth's shed has already climbed 10 degrees.
What's the matter?
7 years ago,
You're funny.
You feel funny?
Ruth suffered a serious head injury. Now, she takes medication to prevent seizures.
Could we get a moist towelette or a wet cloth or something?
No.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
It's not all right. Ruth is out cold. Canada's worst handymen are accident prone. They've only been in our rehab center 5 days. And just look at all the self-inflicted injuries.
I just hurt myself with the first aid kit. Ow!
Ouch.
Now, we've got a life-threatening emergency. Ruth has suffered a seizure and is passed out.
Rob McDonald, can you come here, please?
Rob isn't just the head of our lighting team. He's also our trained on-set safety officer. While doctors get called, Rob and Michelle bring Ruth back around.
I can get it.
You want to sit up now?
Thank you.
After a little sustenance, Ruth retraces her steps.
I felt funny, so I sat down.
Yeah.
And then I saw some flashing lights, and then I was out.
Everyone else happily finishes their installation jobs.
If you want to clean up something, you
Hey,
can
hi.
clean up our
Leave me
area.
alone. Then I'm serious. Leave me alone.
Oblivious to the fact that Ruth just suffered the first seizure she's had in 2 years.
I never took my meds this morning.
You didn't take your medication this morning?
I'll get them. I'm fine now. It doesn't last. I'll be fine, you know, to do the next job.
These arch rivals have compassion.
We're a team. We're going to help you finish, okay?
Thank you.
Not a problem.
This is handiwork in a small town. This is neighborhoods in action. This is what I like to see.
The team finishes Ruth's insulation in just 10 minutes, which means it's time for their next mini challenge, putting expanding foam around their windows.
Shake hand vigorously for 30 seconds. And
Why don't you do that then, hon?
While Candace shakes,
You're dangerous with that stuff.
Harvey prematurely squirts.
Are we only allowed one can?
1 can is more than enough for this job.
I see the problem.
What's the problem?
Problem is you didn't read the instructions.
Really?
Yeah, that's really the problem.
No.
Yeah.
No.
you're not supposed to inhale this.
The instructions say to hold this can upside down. If you hold it upright, all that comes out is foamy gas.
Or Harvey might have shot all the propellant out of there.
You did.
The instructions also say
Not to let it touch your skin.
Wear gloves.
I hope you don't have sensitive skin.
Don't do that. I'm going to stop you right there. Like, just show. You got that all over your hands?
No.
Life contains compromises. So does the eco shed. Try as we might, we could not find an environmentally friendly vapor barrier. I just don't think it exists. That means to keep drafts and moisture out of their sheds, Canada's worst handymen will have to seal them up with an environmental enemy. Plastic. Virgin plastic, too. It's not even the recycled kind.
Take it right up to the top of the 2x4 if you
That's
can.
what I'm trying to do.
for the vapor barrier to be correct. Are you cutting it?
Oh, we just stick it up, do it, cut it, move on.
It should stretch around all 4 corners without any break.
I don't get this. How come you didn't just keep on going all the way around and then cut out the window?
With the roll?
Yeah.
That's what I would do. That's what I wanted to do.
It's your place.
I know.
What are you measuring?
I'm measuring the wall. Then we don't have to fought around cutting it off.
We're not flush in this corner. Is that a problem?
Yeah, it will be. That corner's got to be a perfect corner. So make sure you're in that corner proper.
Well, we're not.
Neither is Jaime.
Look what you did. See, it's pulling tight there. It's not going to work the way you're doing it right now.
No, we're gonna have to pull out. We already have. And we're gonna have to start over.
You'd think wrapping a room in plastic wouldn't be very difficult.
What the f going on here?
But no one is having an easy time with this.
But it was cut straight. Maybe you got it up the wrong way.
Oh, Mom, come on.
You didn't go high enough.
In the end,
Are you done?
Jaime is the only person with a perfect vapor barrier. Everyone else has drafts. After the break, we'll name this episode's worst handyman.
I'm afraid it's me.
Last episode, Candace was named the most improved builder here at the Handyman Rehabilitation Center. That means in today's group challenge, she'll be the foreman as her team tries to build 2 picnic tables.
You're the foreman. You're not the hands-on person. You're the dictator. You do this, you do that, you do this.
Being a successful dictator demands a complete understanding of the task at hand.
To tell you how thick it is? Do we have the right board or
1
not?
to 1.5. 1 and 1 to 1. 1 to
Can't read it.
half.
So this is the right board?
I believe so.
Candace doesn't have enough experience reading instructions to understand them.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't understand this whatsoever.
What do we need for the top?
Sorry?
What do we need for the top?
The team has been cutting lumber for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. But Candace still hasn't put any of the pieces together.
We're done cutting. Now the confusing part. So, we're going to drill holes, and we're going to drill a holes is indicated. Drill either a pilot hole or a clearance hole. Drill either a pilot hole or a clearance hole. Oh my goodness. Okay, I am honestly lost. You have no idea. I don't know. Oh, I don't understand this. Does anyone know what a pilot hole or a clearance hole?
Yeah, you just drill a hole.
Okay, we need that.
Yeah, but where do you need them?
After an hour and 10 minutes, Candace still hasn't attached any of her boards together. Her table is no picnic. It's time to decide who is the most improved handyman this episode, and who is the worst. In Jaime's shed, the sheathing is a big concern.
Corners are bad.
It's sloppy.
And it's not secure.
That shouldn't be bouncing around like that between the studs.
Before we enter here,
I'm not entering that. It's a totally unsafe work area. Your inspector comes on site, they're gonna look at that and shut you down.
so we go to Terry's.
I don't know what the logic is on this sheathing job.
What are you seeing here?
This is totally wrong. Okay? This trimmer stud should carry all the way down without break.
Exactly.
That's a big no-no.
And let's not forget the gap in the window.
It's got to come out and then be reinstalled.
In Ruth's shed, the window hasn't even gone in yet because she still hasn't shrunk her hole enough.
This is add-a-stick mentality. It's never going to be right. The vapor barrier must be continuous. Okay. So that means if they have to cut out around fixtures, there needs to be a piece of plastic in behind, overlapping to maintain the integrity of the vapor barrier.
Speaking of integrity, here's Jeff's shed. But where are the screws for structural integrity?
We know where one is not, and that's right here.
There's a screw, but
that's not against anything either.
That's right.
He missed. That's That's not in anything.
Candace's shed is next. Or really, the shed her husband built.
That is not a 24-inch center.
But that is a 24-inch piece of insulation.
This, in turn, is all bulged out. See how it's starting to droop down? In time, this is probably going to be dropped way down here. Very bad.
Most of the work done this episode was very bad. Out of pity, we put together a table for the nominators to sit at, while the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman assume the position.
So it's the end of our third episode here at Canada's Worst Handyman, and only 2 of you have managed to complete every challenge you've faced. Candace, you're one of those 2 people. It's actually your husband that's been completing all of these projects for you. So you give me back that tool belt.
The most improved this episode is
the only other person who's completed all of the challenges. Derry.
Well, thank you.
Which brings us to the worst person for this episode. And that person is the one with the most imperfections in their shed. Irony of ironies is this person believes themselves to be a perfectionist. Sorry, Jeff, but it's time for you to step forward and hang your head in shame.
Jeff was named the worst this episode because of his inability to accept help.
Jeff, what can I do to help you?
Not to mention his defaced window, his slapdash insulation job, and a vapor barrier that's incomplete.
Grow up, man. Use that. You stay here because you have some homework. Everybody else, you're free to go. Your homework is to point out every single imperfection on your shed.
The panels here aren't together. There should be more screws. This is not screwed into a stud. These along here should be flush. There are no screws in the middle of this whole piece of plywood. These sheets here could be a little more flush together. This board here should be flush with the rafters.
And inside?
The plastic needs to be completed. More tape should be added. The wire should be on the outside of the insulation. The insulation should be cut off and that box should be moved in. My work site is not clean, therefore not safe.
On the next episode of Canada's Worst Handyman.
Oh, look, I mean, if you're not going to help me, go away, will you?
We make a serious point about safety as the nominees swing into their trickiest challenges yet.
Whoa, that would hurt.
Before they're done drywalling, plastering,
man, that's going on me.
and tiling,
That is absolute.
someone will go home in an ambulance.
A crash course and a chance at rehabilitation on Canada's Worst Handyman. Next week, ride the cutting edge of construction technology on Ultimate Engineering. Tomorrow, uncover the future of conflict as the next generation of military hardware is unveiled on Future Weapons. Tomorrow.